Richard's story. Born on April 6th, 1939, to parents Constance Jessie Winifred and Robert Keith Stokes, Richard Keith grew up in the Sydney suburb of Gordon with his three siblings, Sylvia, Gordon and Joan, who we'll hear from, along with a couple of his nephews a little later. He's pictured here at Killara Preparatory School, then went on to Sydney Church of England Grammar School, known as Shaw, to complete his intermediate certificate at 15, while working after school for the family millinery, hat makers, and taking a course in electronics. He took up with long-life friend Tony Prince at 17, while the two were studying accountancy at night school together. We'll hear from Tony in just a little while. During that time, he discovered his passion for vehicles, starting with motor scooters, then upgrading to roadsters, and like all of us, eventually settling on family cars, some with more style than others. Dad also spent time on Sundays as a crew member during yacht races on Sydney Harbour. The passion for the sea stays with him, and we've all enjoyed it along with him. After a relocation to Adelaide in South Australia with National Cash Registers, known as NCR, he was to board with a woman who I knew as Auntie Ollie. She was a friend of the Gibbs family who had recently returned to Adelaide after a stint in Melbourne with their daughter Wendy. Cupid's bow was given a guiding hand, and Wendy and Richard were introduced. The happy couple enjoyed a honeymoon in Victor Harbour in 1962 and haven't really been able to resist the lure of the beach since, culminating in the building of the Rye Beach House in 1976. Rye has been the mainstay of the family's social activities for 43 years now, with all members of the family visiting from time to time, as well as many family friends and their families, that now extends to grandchildren, Jess and Jay. Sports play a big role in Dad's life and have included squash, bushwalking, water skiing and snow skiing, sailing, tennis, bowling, cycling, and his little-known expertise as a coconut collector. A former work colleague once described Dad to me as engaging and affable. Few would disagree, and true to his Queen Scout honour, he's always there to pitch in and help. We all love you, Dad. Happy 80th anniversary.
It's certainly a great thing when you do get to 80.
One of the reasons I rang is I was wondering whether you had a good old story or two to tell about your stepbrother.
He was a lovely little boy, very angelic looking.
Was he?
He had fair hair and blue eyes. And will I tell you have you got the one about him selling a cat?
Oh, no, I think I need to hear that one, Joni.
Do you know that one?
No, I think I need to hear that one, please.
Well, you can hear me all right, obviously, because I've got a very loud voice, but
I can hear you.
That was very funny. One day, our dear mother, Jenny Stokes, said to Richard, "What have you got in your hand?" I think he was 5 or 6 at the time. And he opened his hand reluctantly, and there was a 2-shilling piece, which was worth a lot more back then as it is now, you see.
Yes.
And she said, "Richard, where did you get that from?" "Oh," he says, "I sold a lady a cat." And she said, "But we haven't got a cat at the moment." We often did have cats.
Yeah.
And he said, "I saw this cat in the street." He was always giving Mother the slip. I think she was busy with Sylvia as a toddler or a baby.
Yeah.
And Richard would manage to get himself out of the gate, not be seen by anybody. I mean, these days it would be unsafe, but Gordon was the suburb of Gordon was a fairly safe place. Anyway,
okay. Yep.
She got the story out of him. He said, I was walking up the street and I saw this cat and it looked lonely and didn't look as though it was going. So I picked it up and took it into the nearest house and knocked on the door, and a lady came and I said, "Would you like to buy a cat?" So it actually was probably the lady's own cat. But he was, I don't know the story. Richard won't remember it. But she said, I will give you 2 shillings for it. And Richard says, righto. So hands over the cat and comes home with the 2 bob.
And there's the beginning of the salesman, hey?
That's it. So that'll be enough to go on with.
Oh, that's well done, Joan. I love it.
I think probably Richard will deny the whole story, but I can assure you that most of it is true, if slightly elaborated. Are you thinking of asking Michael Anderson, the cousin?
Yes.
It wasn't.
Yes. And
yes,
Michael, that's Michael
I haven't seen him.
Michael and Linda are both
Michael
coming.
and Linda, that's right.
They're
yes.
both coming. They're in Melbourne.
Well, his father was my mother's half brother, so he's a half uncle or something.
That would have been.
And
that was Hugh,
he and
was
his
it?
wife Margie were very good to me when I was younger.
Oh,
I stayed with
fantastic.
them in Melbourne a couple of times. Anyway, I'm sure it'll all go well. Everybody will enjoy themselves.
Absolutely, and we'll be.
Okay then, dear.
We'll be in touch
Thanks for
soon.
ringing.
Lots of love, Auntie Joan.
Bye-bye.
Hello?
Oh, g'day. Is that Tony Prince?
Yeah.
Tony, it's Dave Stokes calling. How you going?
Who is it?
It's Dave Stokes. Tony, I'm.
Oh, David.
Yeah.
Hi. How are you?
I'm very, very good. A blast from the past.
Oh, yes, that's good.
The main reason for my call today was that I was just wondering if you could give me some fodder for a bit of speech on the 6th. So can you?
Well, yeah, the main thing that we did together was ride our motor scooters.
Oh yeah.
And actually, prompted by your email, we've been going through our photo albums, and I've got a picture of. I can't find one of your dad's motor scooter, but I've got one of ours. So that will. Oh, I won't say ours because Trish wasn't allowed on it, but every other girl in the local fellowship went on it, but not Trish. She did what her mum told her. But I've got one of your dad and me standing on the beach with our arms folded, looking like a pair of supermen.
Where was that? Where was that, Tony? Which beach do you recall?
Look, I'm not sure. I think it might have been somewhere around perhaps Bobbin Head or possibly Balmoral. No, not Balmoral.
Gotcha.
Wouldn't have been Balmoral. But
New South Wales
yeah,
beach.
somewhere local anyway, reasonably local.
Tony, tell me, how did you and Richard and Wendy meet? Did you and Richard meet first, or?
Oh gosh, yes. I met Richard when we were both about 17.
Oh, go on, you go way back, yeah.
Yeah. We both went to tech at it would have probably been Crow's Nest.
Okay.
And that's next door to North Sydney for you Southerners. We met sort of on the train after class, or when we recognised each other and started chatting. And of course, he lived at Gordon.
Yep.
And I was living at West Pymble, which is same station rather.
Mm-hmm.
We got motor scooters more or less together, and then we graduated from motor scooters to cars. And Richard had a Singer.
Doing after a while.
Well, at the same time, more or less the same time, I bought a 1937 Austin Roadster.
Ah, yeah.
And I remember we both decided, with female company, and it wouldn't have been your mum.
Okay.
So I'm vetting the photos. Not that there was anything terrible, but we
spare their
decided
blushes, Tony. Spare their blushes.
Yes, I will. But we both decided to go on a trip which involved going through a fair bit of dirt road on the back road up to Gosford or something like that.
Okay.
It was mostly dirt. It was old convict-built road. And Richard said, "Oh, look, we'd better take my car as well in case yours breaks down."
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's the one that blew the head gasket.
Oh, no. So the rescue vehicle needed rescuing.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. It's we've known each other off and on for a long time, but haven't seen all that much of you all since he moved down to Melbourne, because with work commitments and all that sort of thing.
It makes it harder, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does make it harder. I mean, we've popped in a couple of times. We stayed at Rye with you all about the time our son Michael was married.
And how's Trish?
Sorry?
How's Trish?
She's well. She's well.
Okay.
And then she's going to art class, and then she's going shopping to buy me some ice cream, and I'll probably see her at the end of the day.
Fantastic, mate. So you're still on a pretty good wicket up there by the sounds, Tony.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're happy up here.
Terrific.
Oh, great.
So Tony, a message for Richard. What would you say if he was standing right in front of you now?
What would I say now? Well, I'd say if you've still got the old catamaran, make sure that you put the bungs in both hulls before you lend it to your friends to go out on Port Phillip.
Now that sounds like experience talking.
It is, because he sent me out on it without putting the bung in one hull.
And so you started listing a little bit port or starboard after a while?
Well, yes. As you get older, you sort of Anno Domini takes its toll on a number of your friends, and you sort of tend to treasure the ones that you've still got that are managing to stay the course. Okay. See you later.
Cheerio, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, right. The muckraking is underway.
Dave, hey, how are you?
Yeah, good man, very good. What's happening with you?
I'm in a toilet block disconnecting grotty old toilet, so it's not fabulous.
No worries.
That's what I do. So.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. Hey, Phil, look, the reason for the call, and I know, look, now may not be a good time for you, but Dad's turning 80 on the 6th of April. You know, bit after next week. Yeah. So he's clicked over 80. We didn't celebrate Mum's because she's been lying about her age by a year ever since anyone can remember. So when it came to her 80th birthday, everyone's got these cards. Oh, happy 79th, Mum, all that sort of stuff. And she's standing here at the counter at Classic Court and just goes, "Well, actually, I'm 80." And we've gone, "Oh, now you tell us." So she sort of her deception meant she missed out on a bit of a do.
It must have been such a relief to finally get it out. 80 years of holding it in.
Exactly. I think you're bang on about that. So we might do a little hat tip for Mum on. So what I thought I'd do is, for the folks who I know won't be able to come down, I thought I'd just ring and just have a quick chat and maybe just get a favourite Uncle Richard or a favourite Richard story that I might be able to share on the night.
Oh, okay, yeah.
To put you right on the spot.
Oh, I have to think, but I've got one that pops out that was amazing, is when you were disconnecting the trailer from the brand new Commodore SLE.
Oh, yeah.
It bunted forward and went through the taillight, and we're all just waiting for something to happen, and nothing ever did. And we were
Really?
just like, I just remember looking at the taillight and just feeling this horror, everyone, I think it's you, me and Andrew, just staring at this broken taillight and everyone, what was going to happen next? And it was the biggest anticlimax of my life, I suppose. Dad just looked at it and just went, "Oh."
Isn't he funny? Because occasionally I'd be mucking around with his tools and leave him out on the grass overnight and stuff like that. There was just hell to pay for weeks about that sort of stuff. But so he just goes to show you can't pick him, can you?
No, that's something that stands out. Oh, mate, I've just pulled my head out of a toilet, so I can't. It's hard to go from that world to that world, but you guys always made us feel welcome down at Rye when we were kids, and that was something we really looked forward to as kids, as holidays down on the peninsula. So that's my memory, and sailing out in the Stokesy too, and water skiing. All those memories are really great memories of mine.
Big part of our history,
big part
mate.
of my early teenage years, and they really stand out as when you're looking for something to cheer you up. Go back as far as that and recall those ones. Really nice.
Beautiful sentiments, Phil. That's great, mate. The main thing you remember from your youth?
Just going to Rye. Our trips to Rye were pretty good, really. Pretty privileged to have all those, go on the boats and catamarans, and it's a good memory playing table tennis, but not much as a funny story as such. It's just the nice memory of being able to, at the time you don't kind of appreciate it, but when you look back, you think, well, that was a pretty good time, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
But I just remember going down to Rye. We had good Christmases, like he's parked the caravan out the back, and and we just I don't know, going down to the shops, down to the just has kind of nice memories of hanging out down there.
Hanging out down there too.
Yeah. You sort of forget it when you're a bit older, but you look back, and I said this to Uncle Richard, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and I said, oh, we had a really good time. He said, did you? I said, yeah, I really remember that time. So I think he was not shocked, but just, oh, well, thanks, I'm great that you did have a good time. I said, yeah.
You enjoyed it, yeah.
Well, I mean, you've been 3 rat bags running around, so, it was, and I remember they were very tolerant. So, that was, it was good memories, really.
Not that she's
Vic,
caring
stop
from
doing that.
Yeah,
Vic, I told you, Vic. You got Aiden's walks around there.
Yeah, I wasn't talking
imitating mum and dad.
I wasn't.
It's hilarious.
I've got to hear.
He does the perfect Sylvia sigh. Sylvie, and he imitates all this stuff. And I just said, Aiden, where do you get that? It's like Vovo and Poppy. I said, that's
funny.
Younger, but
yeah,
we always just we was always excited to go over to your place, or the cousins and Uncle Richard and Auntie Wendy's place down at the Rye. It's all good memories.
We always found plenty to do, didn't we?
It was always something going on, and something that was funny,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right. Whether it was,
Oh well, you've got your kids to relive it on you, mate.
Yeah, that's you exactly. You can't roast without being roasted now, can you? So pays to be a bit discreet.